Yo, what's happening? I'm back and better than ever. Hey, welcome to Texas Underground. I am your host, the Black Lion 17. Hey, family, I know y'all been waiting. Y'all been waiting for the next video to drop. Hey, we had some technical issues. Brother, hey, we humans, we get sick. Brother had been sick for a little bit, so hey, as soon as I got a little better, got my voice back, I was ready to drop a video. And hey, what not man, it's the perfect timing, y'all. Perfect timing to drop a video because it's a lot going on not only in H-Town, but around the NFL. So let's hit it. DJ, drop the beat. Yeah, so guess what, y'all? We're gonna get right to it. Hey, I forgot to mention, go ahead, hit the like, hit the subscribe, put the notifications on, hit that little bell button. I don't know which one it is, it's somewhere down there. But as soon as a video drops, you will know. You can share it, tell your homeboys, your sister, uncle, cousin, brother, sister, mama, baby, daddy, cousin. I don't even know who you want to tell, but just tell somebody. You got me? We gotta get this channel to 100. We gotta get up there, and we're gonna continue to keep growing. Hey, I know I previously mentioned I was gonna have some special guests coming on. We got a couple of things going for we wanna do going forward. But hey, I'm not gonna make the video too long. I wanted to drop a video, and I wanted to talk to my peoples. So with everything being said, right? We got a few things we're gonna talk about. And the one big thing that I wanted to talk about is Lamar Jackson. We just had the combine. Everybody's hooping and hollering about Anthony Richardson. I've been talking about him. I've been telling y'all that this dude was gonna be a top pick. Hey, if you want to go check out what I had to say about who's my top 5 QBs, go back to the playlist. I think that was episode 3. Well, don't quote me on that. Just go back and watch that video. But enough said. Hey, check this out. So look, Lamar Jackson, dynamic, right? Playmaker, special talent, was drafted where? To the Baltimore Ravens at pick 32 in the draft. A few years ago, the Ravens traded back up to the first round, and they went and got him, and they built a team around him. And again, another video I had just previously did was team building. And this is kind of going to go into that. Now, I want to preface this by saying, hey, this is about what I would do, not what I think the Texans would do or what Nick Caserio should do or any of that sort. This is kind of like a wild, out of the blue type of deal. And I want everybody to kind of get their opinions because, we have Texan fans and fans across the country that's going to be sitting here like, hey, what could I expect from Lamar Jackson if he came to my team? Well, guess what? We're going to talk about if he came to the Houston Texans again. So, with that said, let's hop right on into it. Hi, Man. So the big question is going to be with this non-exclusive franchise tag that the Ravens just put out. They gave Lamar Jackson the ability to go talk to whoever he wants, right? And whatever team wants to make that payment, they can make that payment, right? So it's kind of like what Nick Casario said in his press conference at the combine. Like, look, we're putting a used car out there for sale. Yes, it's a Lamborghini, but it is used. Hey, not that many miles on it, but it's still used. It's still like brand new, right? And it had a couple fat tires, had a nail punctured in a flat, but no major damages. So make your offer. Well, the offer is we're not taking anything less than 2 firsts. Well, that's not negotiable. Why? Because of the franchise tag. The franchise tag that the Ravens placed on Lamar Jackson today, which today was the last day, or tomorrow's the last day. Don't quote me on that. But either or, it's the last day to place your franchise tags on players. And not every team uses them. So, this is the deal. This is what I believe happened. Lamar doesn't have an agent. He's kind of doing it on his own. From what I heard, he has his mom, I believe, doing it with him. Somebody with doing the negotiating with him. Me myself, if I was that person in that situation, would I have my mother or somebody like that trying to handle that business? If my mama was a lawyer, then yeah, but my current situation, my mom's not, so I wouldn't have her as my agent or trying to negotiate a lucrative, long-term, wealthy deal as what we have going on. Do I think Lamar Jackson is worth every bit of what he's asking for? He's asking for close to Deshaun. He's asking for Deshaun Watson money, and I'm not exactly sure if I would be willing to give Deshaun Watson type money to any quarterback, unless your name was Tom Brady and you was about 15 years younger, or Patrick Mahomes. So with that being said, yes, do I think he's worth it? Yes, but do you really want to handcuff your franchise by paying him all this kind of guaranteed money? And like I said, he's had some nails in the tires. Nothing that was, as far as we know right now, that's a major injury, but an injury nonetheless that kept him out from playing in a playoff game as well as more than half the season. So that does kind of worry me. But to localize what we're talking about here with Lamar, Lamar is kind of his own personality guy, and the fact that they placed this franchise tag on him makes me wonder: is he really just done with the Ravens? Now, the Ravens has always been a team as a long time NFL fan that has watched football for many years. I respect the Ravens organization. So there's a couple of teams in the NFL that I respect, right? Those teams are the Ravens, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Saints, the Giants for their history, um, the 49ers for their history, and Kansas City for theirs going back in the day. But those teams, they seem to do things the right way, right? And they recently have learned how to build a team and build an organization and do things the right way. So I'm wondering what really happened behind the scenes, because now Ozzie Newsome is being brought into it. And Ozzie Newsome probably been sitting somewhere on the East Coast chilling. And for the Ravens to have to reach back to him for eye opening, eye concerning, and makes you wonder exactly what is going on with Lamar Jackson. Is it a character concerns, or is it just that he feels that he deserves that type of money? So, with all that being said, now to me, if I was the GM of the Houston Texans, would I give up the 2 firsts, and on top of that, give Lamar Jackson somewhere close to a 5 to 6 year deal? Um, 5 to 6 year deal worth I think that's a 220 guaranteed. Yes, because we have the draft capital. No, because I'm not sure if the system for the coach that I have just hired, if it fits what Lamar Jackson, uh, his abilities. So, with all that being said, the answer, even like I said, the answer would be yes, as the mind of the organization, and like, hey, this dude's a special talent, make it work. But the NFL doesn't work that way. You can't just place players like the team building I was talking about episode. You can't just place players and just have them in your system and just say like, hey, it's gonna work because he's just that special. Yes, he is that special, but you have to take everything that your head coach and the philosophy and the way of thinking that he likes and what he wants to do, and you have to wipe that clean, because now you have to bring in Lamar and say, hey, Lamar, what do you like out of this, and this, and this? What are these plays? What is this game? What do you think about this? Do you like doing this type of stuff on third down? Hey, and you have to remember as well, Lamar Jackson had a lot of trust from John Harbaugh. Harbaugh trusts him for when he go for it on fourth down. So would that start being an issue? If I say, hey, it's 4th and 2, I want to punt in this situation, would that start causing an issue? Because those are things that in the past, when he was in Baltimore, John, hey, what do you think? And hey, I want to get this first guy and go get it. And they go out there, either they get it or they don't. Would that be an issue? So all those things come into play. Personality comes into play, and also money, right? So those things worry me, and that's why when I go to the long term of process of thinking, I don't think that he will be a good fit for the Houston Texans at this present time. Um, so the answer would be no. I would not pick him for the Texans. So I wanted to say that. Now let's go to the side of, if we say yes, if the crowd that says yes wants to pick Lamar Jackson, right? Now let's start thinking about everything that we have to give up. Okay, the cap would not hurt us as far as this year, but it will hinder us next year because his contract will kick in next year. We would probably go from being one of the top, well, the top 1-2 next year to probably the bottom tier, right? In cap space. So then now you're talking about missing out on a couple of potential really good players that could be free agents next year on some teams that have been questionable as far as winning right next year. Uh, then you're like guys like Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa's. I think it's a couple of people that are coming up. T.J. Watt, I think, is coming up. I haven't heard anything about him signing a deal. So those are some of the things that you would have to look at as far as players that you will be missing out on in 2024. On top of that, what draft picks do we have to give up? Because you have to give up 2 first-round picks. So can I give up both Cleveland picks? Can I give up Cleveland pick this year and Cleveland picks next year? Or do I have to give up my picks that I'm actually, that actually belong to us that I do not know? With the way the NFL works, I believe that you have to give up your picks. You can't give up picks that you trade for. So that means you're giving up the number 2 pick this year, and then possibly you're hoping with Lamar Jackson that your pick wouldn't be in the top 10 again next year. But this team has a bunch of holes, right? So again, now we're just going to talk about 2023 draft. So now you're talking about missing out. Even though you have the quarterback, now you're talking about missing out on a guy like Will Anderson that would definitely help your team. You're talking about missing out on Jalen Carter, another player that could definitely help your team. So those are some of the issues that you come with. Those two are 2 generational type guys. Now, you like we said, we're with the yes crowd right now. So you have Lamar, right? And you don't have your number 2 draft pick, but you have number 12. Now, the thing is, in Baltimore, what was the big issue? They didn't surround him with receivers. I personally don't think that's true. Rashard Bateman, coming out of Minnesota, was one of my sleeper receivers. I really like Bateman. I still think he's going to be a good player. It's just that, again, that scheme, this quarterback is not going to use a Rashard Bateman in the right way for him to develop into a big time receiver. I think Bateman would do wonders with the Rams with Cooper Kupp being over there. Like that 1-2 punch that Kupp had with Robert Woods, put Bateman over there. That would be awesome 1-2 punch. Bateman can also be a number 1 receiver, which is why he's over there in Baltimore. So now at 12, you have your choice of possibly every receiver on the board, or probably every tight end on the board. Lamar Jackson's favorite target over there with Baltimore was the tight end. They ran a lot of two tight end sets, mostly three. So, do you risk passing up on a receiver to get the tight end, or do you pass up on the tight end to get the receiver? Do you go ahead and then beef up your defense because you need a team all around it? Now you're handcuffing yourself. This is kind of brings me back to the point of why I say no. You're too handcuffed with this selection, or well, not selection, just you know, this trade of going to get Lamar Jackson. Now, scheme wise, um, Trey Lance is a guy that has wheels, that could run and had a good zip on his passes. Um, so that he would obviously make a good fit as far as just running the this West Coast scheme, this Kyle Shanahan type scheme. Yes, I think he could because he does do well with play action. But he's more of a shotgun guy, RPO type guy. The 49ers do run a lot of RPO type of stuff, but they run it out of unorthodox type of formations. Uh, well, not formations, unorthodox personnel, I should say, not formations. I'm sorry about that. Because formations are like shotgun, I formation, stuff like that. Personnel is like 21, 31, 13, 11, so on and so on. So the personnel now kind of changes, right? So for football guys, I like to always I'll give you an example. Um, it's kind of like drafting a defensive end, right? Take a guy like Myles Garrett. You're a 3-4 system, and you draft Myles Garrett, and you plug him in at outside linebacker. It's not necessarily going to mesh with the play style because you want him to go and get an attack at the quarterback at all times. You don't want him dropping back. For Texas fans, it's kind of the Jadeveon Clowney type of situation, right? So you're drafting a player in the hopes of, hey, he can catch on to what we have going on as far as scheme wise. And that does not always work, right? So that's kind of the same with Lamar Jackson. You're putting him in the system that you're hoping that it will because it's so quarterback friendly that it should, because of his talent, it should take him to a new stratosphere as far as MVPs, Super Bowl contenders, and stuff like that. It should, but does it always work? No, it doesn't. Will it work? That's up for discussion for for today, and I mean that's kind of why we're here and what we're talking about. So having Lamar Jackson is going to come with a lot more cons, to me, in my opinion, than pros for a team like us. I believe that we are more of a team that needs to build through the draft, needs to go get some trade pieces, trade some equity, to build around the team that we currently have, in the hopes of 2024 competing for AFC championships, and 2025 being considered back in that sweepstake. I personally think that drafting CJ or Bryce is that situation for bet that best suits us. Than going the CJ. I mean, than going the Lamar Jackson. That's my thoughts, my opinion on the Lamar Jackson. Now we're gonna shift gears, and we're gonna talk about this amazing combine we just seen, right? What everybody calls the underwear Olympics. Let's talk about Nick Casario real quick. Firstly, Nick Casario kind of, to me, went back to his old ways. He really didn't say too much. He started doing them weird comparisons and the used cars and all that stuff. Yeah, they make sense, but it just like sometimes he just kind of rambles, and he really doesn't give you anything to really just talk about. D'Amico gave us, some hints of, it doesn't matter the size if the person can play. So, Bryce Young is still in play. He talked about scheme and why they didn't bring any of the other coaches here. Both of them touched on that. My opinion on them not being here, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, to me, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, to me, the film should always outweigh the combine anyway. But I also like the combine as a measuring tool. So for people, before we, get too far in this, I really want to talk about this situation, about this combine thing, because a lot of people use the context in the wrong way. The NFL does this for a reason. If it did not help evaluate players, they would not do this, because essentially this would be a waste of time to bring players in to do these types of workouts and stuff like that. So people that sit there and say that, oh, it doesn't matter how much you bench, or it doesn't matter how fast you run, or it doesn't matter how well you throw at the combine, or it doesn't matter what your shuttle is, and this, that, and the third. Yes, it does matter. Though these are the same tools that you've been doing from high school, college, and now to the NFL. You're tested every 3 to 4 weeks on these same things when you're working out to see if you're progressively getting better, you're getting bigger, stronger, faster. These things matter. Not in the way to where, for instance, a Anthony Richardson, right? We saw what he did. Now, mind you, I do want y'all to go back and watch, so I'm not gonna, spend too much time on this, but go back and watch my top 5 where I talk about Anthony Richardson. I had Anthony Richardson as my number 3 quarterback all along. He is a extreme talent. Again, he is a athletic freak, for lack of a better term. Pause. But that's what he is. He is I don't want to compare him to LeBron, but that's what he is. He's a created in Madden player that you would create, and you want him to be 99 speed, you want him to 99 throw power, you want him to be 6'4", and you want him to be able to run over people and truck people, so you put him at 240 pounds. That's what he is. But on the film, what do we see on the film? We see some of those things, right? So For instance, people say the 40 doesn't matter. Okay, well, LSU game, I see him break off for a 60-yard run. I'm an LSU fan. I follow them very closely. Throughout the season, they were saying that, oh, this has been the fastest DB class that they've had in a long time as the starters at LSU. He outran all the DBs and scored a 60-yard touchdown. Okay, what happened in the combine? Those DBs ran 4.5s, 4.6s. He ran a 4.4. You go back and look at the tape and you see the speed. Okay, now you go back to the combine and you say, okay, well, let's see some of these throws that we seen on tape that he missed. Why is his completion percentage, the way it is by looking at the numbers, which I described in the previous video. And you look at the tape and you see, well, I see a couple of drops. I see, some bad play calling. I see some bad play design. So, okay, and then I do see some mechanical flaws as far as relying too much on his arm, not using his lower body to follow through, not standing strong in the pocket at certain times. You don't see him when he goes because he's a right-hand quarterback. When he tries to throw to his left, he doesn't open his hips. He kind of just flings the ball with his arm. He tries to use too much of his arm to get the ball over there. Those are reasons why he's inaccurate. Can that be coached and can that be fixed? Yes, to a degree. But at this stage, you are who you are. You're going to relate back to those habits when the actual pressure comes in, until you can constantly go and fix these things with a QB coach or with the QB coaches that are on the team. So until those bad habits are kind of X'd out, you're gonna relate back to that in the pressure moments. And when those pressure moments come in the NFL, you have to remember you're throwing into tighter windows. You have to remember that your receivers are not going to have as much separation. You also have to come into account that play design and play calling should be better. Not always, but it should be better. So that becomes an issue. I'm going to look at the combine, right? And I'm going to see, okay, well, he throws this out route. His footwork does look a little better. He does look like he's been working on it. You look at his body, he doesn't look like a floppy, just soft, slender 244. He looks muscular. He looks strong. He played at Florida, so a lot of the stuff that they do is out of the pocket. He did fairly well with some of the dropbacks. I was pleasantly surprised with his 7-step drop back and the one hitch that he did. It looked really, really smooth. His arm angles, as far as just the natural throwing motion, looks very, very good. It's not hitchy. He brings the ball through and comes from releasing from above the earlobe. He does kind of side, not 2 3/4, but it is a little from the side. So it looks good, right? So when I see that, I see progress. I see work. I see that he's been training and he's been working. He's not just resting on his laurels. Then I look at, okay, all the quarterbacks besides Bryce threw. So now you're telling me you like to compete. You don't care how bad you may or may not look, in the underwear Olympics, because a lot of the times what people don't understand is these guys, the reason why they like to throw at the pro days instead of the combine is because of timing. A lot of receivers are taught to run routes differently, and people have different philosophies. Um, at one of the places where I was previously working at, we had we was building a football program where I was building a football program at this particular place, and a lot of I don't like running out routes to where my receivers have to stop their feet. I like running speed outs, just based because of other routes that I like to design off of that. And we had somebody else that did not like that. He did not understand why I like speed outs, and I tried to explain to him the reason why, and the fact that it helps, for as far as knees and tears and hamstring issues, because that breaking down and stumping your feet and cutting, trying to cut at an angle like that, and then as a DB, as a former defensive player, cornerback, it also, when you run a speed out, it's harder to guard. It's not as easy to guard than when your receiver stops and breaks down and does all that. Because once he does this and break down, that gives you the go ahead to, okay, yeah, I'm coming. And if he does do a double move on me, I'm just gonna tackle him and you just gonna throw the flag. I don't care. But those are the things that philosophical differences that people have. So then you have like I say, you have the receivers. Some receivers like to break they comebacks at 13. Others like to break theirs at 15. Some receivers round off and keep rounding their out routes. Some receivers run flat down the line. Other receivers come back toward the line. So, and then the visual, what I say about that, when you run a speed out, right, you're running and you come like this, and you initially you want to come back and you want to run that curve back into a straight line, right? But sometimes you get people that run and they run that like this. That's not a good route, but people do that. Then you have sometimes with these guys, they're running and then they'll come back like this. It's mixed reviews on if that's a good route running tool or not. Me personally, I say it is, because you're not allowing that DB to cut you off in a sense, to get the ball, that out route. But then again, it's the QB's responsibility to make sure when he throws that out, that is to your ability to only for you to catch the ball and nobody else. So that that's here, there, and those that's kind of the philosophy things that y'all should be thinking about. And so you seen Anthony Richardson compete, and you like what he did. Then you get into him throwing the deep ball. Very, very easy, very flick of the wrist, like he just, he can spin it. He can. It's he's, like I said he's the most gifted player. When I say gifted, I'm talking about only God-given abilities. He just is, because of height, weight, speed, arm strength, arm talent, type of things. But there's still a lot of negatives to his game as far as when you watch the film. CJ, you take him, and of course, he doesn't run. He doesn't do none of the running stuff. He doesn't do none of the lifting at the combine, but he does do the throwing. And of course, what we always know, he can throw the ball. We know that his talent is superb, above as far as ball placement, above all of them. Like I said, him and Bryce is 1A, 1B for me. There's not a big difference but between the two as far as their game. Yes, physically, yes, there's a difference because one is 6'3", is 6'4". The other one's is I think he measured at 5'10" and an eighth. You know, and then he was 207 pounds, 204 pounds, whatever. And CJ was like 215, 220 ish. You know, so yes, those things come into play as far as when you're evaluating players. But we knew that. Looking at the tape, we're gonna keep talking about the underwear Olympics, right? Will Levis, you've seen a lot of you see his arm talent at the underwear Olympics. You see the flicker of wrist at the underwear Olympics. The one thing that I did not see that I wanted to see was him mechanically still being able to work on mechanics. Did he work on mechanics going into it? And I think he did. I don't think he's somebody that just will sit around and not do anything. I did. Looking at his body, he looks like he's been working out and running and he's been lifting weights and all those good things. But I still see things that I don't like. For instance, I seen him throw what I like to call a C route or a banana route. And for whatever reason, it's like he just kind of, his back foot slid from, instead of following through, it's like his back foot went the opposite way. Like, you stand, excuse me. So you standing, you're gonna throw the ball this way. His back foot, instead of following through like this, his back foot went back this way. And I didn't understand that. Like, why are you throwing a ball like that and then the ball was inaccurate? I don't know if he was just trying to showboat or what, but I didn't find a need for that. And again, that's just, yes, I'm nitpicking, but that's things that you see on tape. When you go back on tape, you see those mechanical flaws from Will Levis. Will Levis, another guy that I believe, I don't think he ran, but he competed. I like that. There were some questions about him competing as far as in college. You know, there have been some things being said about him that I don't really necessarily think are true as far as off the field type deals. I don't see him as that type of guy. At least that, you know, just from the look of it, he doesn't look like that type of guy. So, but though, you know, Bryce and Bryce didn't compete. His he weighed over 200 pounds. I mean, whatever. So the combine always should be a measuring stick for you to go back and you see these players and then you go back and you look and you say, oh, okay, let me look at the film again. Like I said with Anthony Richardson, you actually see the speed being used in college football games. So the big surprise, you know, I'm a quarterback guy, so I that's why I always talk about the quarterbacks. But I've gotten people to tell me, hey, can we talk about some other positions? So here we go as far as combine other positions. I was pleasantly surprised by how slow the receiving group was. That kind of shocked me. I thought some guys were gonna run a whole lot faster than what they initially was gonna run. But there's some guys that ran some pretty good times that I've had as sleeper. Rashard Higgins from Stanford, a receiver that's possibly a day two, day three guy that I've talked. Cedric Tillman, Tennessee. Everybody's Jalen Hyatt. Cedric Tillman was the number one. Cedric Tillman was the number one guy before he ended up getting hurt, and Jalen Hyatt came and took over. He didn't miss a beat when he came back. He put on a smile, worked his butt off, got healthy, and came back and played. Keyshawn Butte, it was a rough day for my LSU receiver. He had very high hopes coming into this season. He was supposed to be kind of like real Jarvis Landry like. People were saying that he should be running like in the high 4.4s, like 4.6, 4.7. I think he ran somewhere at high 4.5s. That was kind of disappointing. He had a couple of big time drops as far as in some of the drills. He didn't look comfortable to me. I think sometimes people get overwhelmed with the combine, and he just didn't look comfortable. He still has amazing talent, but I thought that the combine would have been a place to where he could have made himself some money. Zay Flowers, I thought he was gonna run a little bit faster. Nathan Dale, I for sure thought he was gonna be a 4.3s, real close to a 4.2 guy. That was kind of surprising. Quentin Johnston didn't run, which was another surprise. I felt like, considering that nobody's a clear-cut number one, he should have participated in that portion of the combine. He did do some of the route running type stuff, and I heard that he did pretty well as far as the meeting went through. Jordan Addison was a surprise as far as his speed, ran a 4.5. That was a shocker. He plays faster than that. So, again, I would have to go back and look at the tape, see a guy like when he lined up with Christian Gonzalez. Was it his route running that got him separation? Was it Christian Gonzalez not playing technique? That's what we're talking about when we say about the combine matters. Because if it's the technique that got Jordan Addison open, then can I work with Christian Gonzalez on his technique? Or is it that he was just being sloppy? Or did Jordan Addison just run, magnificent routes that it just got Christian Gonzalez off kilter or on his back feet, on his heels, and he just kind of lost leverage. Is something that you go back and look at. And then Jordan Addison also played at Pitt, so you want to see how did he look against Joy Porter when they played in 2021, when Jordan Addison won the Best Receiver Award, and Kyle, I can't think of the name of it, but somebody in the comments help me. Best Receiver Award that year. So Jackson Smith didn't run, or I think he didn't run, or did he run? No, I don't think he ran because he was dealing with the hamstring thing. But he did participate in the receiver drills, and of course, exactly what we expected. We know he knows how to run routes and how to get in and out of breaks, and he showed that. So, again, the receivers were the letdown for me. I was very surprised as far as defensive back goes. I was very, very pleasantly surprised that Brian Branch ran in the 4.6s. Again, I think that's kind of like the Kyle Hamilton syndrome. Kyle Hamilton didn't run a good 40 time last year either, but he shows on film that he plays faster than what he ran in a straight line. And then I want guys to really think like a lot of 40 times have to do with a lot of technique. And speaking of 40, I want to tell you about Anthony Richardson. I really think Anthony Richardson could have ran a 4.40, a 4 flat. If you watch the end zone shot of him when he's running, he like when he comes out, he's like leaning to the left and leaning to the right, and then he kind of like zigzags and still runs like a 4.44. That is crazy. He probably could have ran the 4.3s really, because when you kind of do that, that takes time off because you're not necessarily running a straight line. So again, technique. So a lot of these guys, yes, leading up to the combine, you are training, you learning how to get the arm back and how to do this, get out. Some people just can't run 40s. It's just like some people just don't do good in tests. They might do good in school and they pass in their classes. It's just the test is what always hurts their grade. They're not good test takers, and guys sometimes are not good 40 runners as far as the testing part of it. So, like I said, Jordan Addison is football fast. Jackson Smith is a bit jig, but is football fast to me. So as far as like drafting them or their stock being lowered, that doesn't bother me. Brian Branch, like I say, with him it doesn't bother me because I know he plays fast and he's more of a physical guy. He's a safety anyway. Not too many safeties run 4.3s and stuff like that. And then we have to also remember, because of what we've been seeing these past few years with the 4.2s and 4.3s, and we're out here really saying that these guys are slow running 4.4s and 4.5s, is kind of crazy because a few years ago in the NFL, if you ran a 4.5, you was fast. We're seeing, the problem comes when you start seeing guys like Nolan Smith, 6'4", 6'3", 250 something, and they're running 4.4s, 6s, and you have the guy from Pitt, the D tackle. I can't say his name correctly, so I'm not even gonna try to butcher that man's name like that. But you have him come out and running 4.5 as a D tackle that big and that strong. That's what starts, to raise eyebrows and starts to become some kind of issues with timing and stuff like that. But 4.5 is plenty fast enough as far as playing safety and corner if you have really good technique. Especially if you want to play in some kind of zone variant. What else? Oh, I didn't catch too much of the offensive line, so I'm not gonna touch on that. Nor did I catch too much of the linebacker portion of the combine. But the running back portion was amazing. Guys ran some good 40 times. Some of the bigger backs even, I want to say it was a guy from OU. There was not OU. I forgot. I can't think right now. I didn't even bring my notes. It was kind of like a quick video. Should have been, but we got to talking. And I love you guys, and I wanted to put out some good content for you. Excuse me. But yeah, I wanted to put out some good content for you, so I wanted to share my thoughts with y'all. but I can't think of the guy's name or what school he went to. But he was a bigger back. He was more of a power back, real defined, muscular guy. They said that they was looking, hoping that he ran somewhere in the 4.6s. He ran somewhere in the 4.5s, which was a good time. And then the on field drills were like, man, it was the man. Gibbs is a special guy. Him and Bijan Robinson are special because they're able to change directions without losing any speed, and then they're able to accelerate not first to second. They're able to accelerate first and then third gear, and not too many people have that. And they have great balance. They solidified why they are 1-2 as far as the best backs are concerned in this year's draft. So we touched on the draft and the combine. So we touched on the draft and the combine, gave you guys some of my thoughts on that. So Texans wise, um, yeah, we're look, my people, we're in a process of building, and people, I don't want y'all to get so confined into one part of team building and just say, hey, this is how we have to do it, because drafting a quarterback at 2 doesn't necessarily mean that we have the right guy. We're going to win because we dropped a quarterback at 2 and we're going to win the championship, blah, blah. Yes, my hit ratio as far as picking quarterbacks is very high right now. I was very down on Blake Bortles. I was down. I liked the Tua, but I was I was saying I think Justin Herbert maybe is probably the better selection, and they should pick him. Patrick Mahomes. I felt like Patrick Mahomes was the next best quarterback in possibly in the NFL. I felt like Patrick Mahomes was going to be what he is right now. And then I thought Deshaun was going to be what he is right now. And yes, I've had some misses. RG3. I felt like RG3 was going to have a better career than Andrew Luck, and it started off that way, and then the injuries happened. Kellen Mond, I felt like Kellen Mond going to Minnesota. That once Kirk Cousins started to kind of dwindle away, that he would take his spot, and that didn't. I don't. Sometimes we looking from afar, we don't know what's up here, and that's kind of always the issue. I felt like Vince Young should have been a Texan, and of course we missed. We didn't pick Vince Young, and that was kind of a bad but good situation for us and for him, I believe. So I've had my hits and I had my misses. Oh, yo, and I really missed on Josh Allen. I missed on Josh Allen. I did. I didn't think he was gonna be what he is right now. Zach Wilson. I was out on Zach Wilson. I was not a fan of Zach Wilson. I feel like Zach Wilson was a riser out of nowhere. Which these two this year we don't really have that guy because Anthony Richardson and Will Levis was talked about as being top prospects in the draft since last year, as I previously stated. The when the year Bryce won the Heisman Trophy, I think the Heisman. So that would have been his sophomore year. Yeah, so sophomore freshman year. Ever since then, they've been saying that this class is the it class. And, if you're going to wait for this class, kind of like what people are saying now. Oh, hey, y'all, wait for next year because Caleb Williams and Drake May. They were saying this 2 years ago about this class and Will Levis and Will Levis, Jaden Daniels, your guy from Washington was in that conversation. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud. These guys were in that conversation for this draft class here. So Stetson Bennett, they was being mentioned throughout the season and prior to the season. Max Duggan's probably the one that kind of starts to shoot up the board, but he's not considered being a first round pick. So the Zach Wilsons and those, are not in this class. I was not a big fan of. I was not. I'm not gonna say I wasn't a big fan of Trey Lance. I did like Trey Lance. Trey Lance is kind of the Anthony Richardson for this draft because he does have a lot of the tools. But the difference between this with what Anthony Richardson has and Trey Lance has, Anthony Richardson doesn't have Justin Fields from a bigger university that was a winner, right? Trey Lance, one year type of guy. Of course, we had the Corona in the 2020, which kind of hindered a lot of people, especially Division two schools. But to me, Justin Fields just showed his leadership ability as far as being able to galvanize players not only from his university but from other universities to go down to the Big Ten conference and stand in the board meetings with them and be able to speak and articulate himself and talk to these guys in these suits and ties and get them to come to agreement to let these guys play. I think that's something that is very underrated of Justin Fields. A lot of people are trying to poke now to him, being, a crybaby or moping or whatever and stuff like that. But hey, we're human. We get frustrated. And as great as Justin Fields is and the talent that he has and what he showed last year, he was probably just tired of getting hit, and he was just tired. He wants to win. So when things went awry, he probably just was frustrated, and he showed some bad body language at time. But we're human. But we can't just keep beating him because of that. He showed a extreme toughness, and like I say, was real big on Justin Fields. I felt like the Jaguars should have took Justin Fields over Trey Lance. Justin Fields was a Elite 11 number one. He beat Trevor Lawrence in the 7-on-7 game. He beat Trevor Lawrence in high school. He beat him in college. And, I don't think we've seen them play in the pros against each other yet. I'm sure we will. And I'm pretty sure, it's going to come down to who has the better team. But to me, I just think Justin Fields is just more talented to me than Trevor Lawrence. Again, like I said, numerous of times, Trevor Lawrence is an awesome talent, but Trevor Lawrence, to me, maybe Doug Peterson is going to change the way that he thinks or the way that he prepares for football, but Trevor Lawrence just has a 1 mile per hour type of arm. He does not have that arm to where he can drop it over over the linebackers or in that second level, everything is just so, so flat. And you have to be able to throw with that touch. And I still think that he makes too many wonky decisions to be as good as, everybody say he is. He just makes too many boneheaded decisions. Um, with experience, can that be cleaned up? You would hope so, but then again, this year he made those same mistakes, and it's just like, why? What are you doing? Um, so that's kind of that, but like I said, QB is kind of my thing, whatever. Um, Texans wise, as far as what's coming up next for Texans Underground, I want to still release my mock draft video that I had scheduled. I might just go ahead and redo that whole mock because of situations with the Jalen Carter and all that stuff that happened. Um, the combine and everything. Now that Derek Carr has signed with the Saints, the possibility of Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, Daniel Jones remaining with the Giants, which is crazy. He signed $160-something million contract. Oh man. Um, then they end up franchise tagging Saquon Barkley. So we have that going, as well as the Lamar Jackson stuff that we talked about in the first 30 minutes of the program, first 15 minutes of the program. And we still have free agency. We still have to see what the Raiders may or may not do at quarterback. Are they going to make a run at Lamar? Um, What else? Geno Smith. Geno Smith signed a 3-year deal to stay in Seattle, so that could possibly, change the way you think as far as my draft is concerned. Um, what else? We got. I think that's pretty much it. Arizona, they finalized their coaching staff. Oh, D Hop, D Hop talking. D Hop noise is going around now as far as him possibly going to the Cowboys. We got some Jalen Ramsey trade, Derrick Henry trade talk going on. So there's a lot of stuff going on that could possibly change the way you think and your thought process as far as the mock draft is concerned. Um, um, so like I say, I still want to drop the mock draft video. I know people are patiently waiting on that. Free agency, got the free agency talk, and also you got my sleepers. I want to drop that video about the sleepers in the draft that not too many people are talking about, but now those names have gotten out there, gotten out there for people to see, um, and people now are seeing them because of the combine. What else? But yeah, that's some of the stuff that we coming up to. Hey, and then we also, this is a Texan channel. We love the Texans, but hey, shout out to them Astros. Hey, it's spring training. We've been struggling from what Hunter Brown's been struggling. Jordan's supposed to be coming back from the hand injury. And Bertman is supposed to be scheduled to be coming back pretty soon, or if not, he has already. I don't normally I'm a baseball head. There was football is my first love, but if you listen to anybody that my mom, dad, brothers, cousins, they would tell you that baseball was probably the sport that I let get away. That's where I should have been at. My family is a baseball family at heart, really. So yeah, I have a deep love for baseball, even though football is my first love. Um, so yeah, that's what we got, pretty much coming for as far as the channel is concerned. Keep growing, keep telling, keep talking. Also, like I said, we will have some special guests popping through. Like I said, I have about 4 or 5 people, and then I'm looking, I'm trying to get my Twitter and all that, Instagram page going up for Texas Underground. We're continue, plastering the fixing up the background and getting that situated, as well as microphones and cameras. So if anybody has any suggestions, and as far as microphone, cameras, things that I can upgrade, how to upgrade it, please contact me. Like I said, Black Line 17 on most platforms. Get at me, let me know the quality, how does the quality look, just anything that can help as far as the channel growing, is greatly appreciated. So, again, with that being said, this is the Texans Underground, and remember, we are all in this together. You are a Texan at heart. You are a Texan first and foremost. H time, stand up. Jay, hit that beat, baby.